Yeah.
Mr. Godfrey.
If, from what you just said, if almost everybody has these chemicals in their blood, how does a prospective epidemiological cohort study differentiate between mothers who had it in their system and mothers who didn't? Is there enough variation in the population?
Yes, and the study from Columbia that I cited found brominated flame retardants in virtually all of the moms in the study, but there clearly was a range of levels, and they found the most severe effects in the children who were born to the mothers with the highest levels.
Okay. Couple of questions. I probably also last took chemistry about as long ago as Ms. Barron. PBDE stands for what?
Polybrominated diphenyl ether.
Okay.
It's one category of brominated flame retardants. Brominated flame retardants is the more generic term.
And the term brominated means what?
Brominated means that a bromine atom, bromine is an element, it means that a bromine atom has been chemically bonded to a carbon atom and build into the molecule of these. Let me back up and tell you, there's a large family of chemicals called halogenated hydrocarbons. The halogens are the chemical elements in one particular column in the periodic table. It's fluoride is the smallest, chlorine, bromine, iodine. Those are the halogens. And halogenated hydrocarbons all have in common the fact that one of the halogens, chlorine, bromine, fluoride, iodine, has been chemically bonded to a carbon atom to form a halogenated hydrocarbon. These are not compounds that exist in nature. They're entirely the fruit of human ingenuity. PCBs, which we know well from the Hudson River, are probably the most famous of the halogenated hydrocarbons. DDT, dioxin are all halogenated hydrocarbons.
Okay. Are there flame retardants that are not believed or known to have similar hazard levels?
Well, asbestos is a flame retardant. It has no bromine in it.
Although it has other problems.
Has other horribly toxic properties, yes.
But if you were looking for chemicals, let's say, to treat baby blankets with, because you wanted to avoid them catching on fire for obvious reasons, are there other ways to do that?
I think that actually opens up a larger question, and several of you have touched upon this in your prior questioning, and that is, what about substitutes? Because if we make a recommendation to ban one class of chemicals or one chemical, presumably substitutes will come along. And I think that's where we need a new regulatory regime. Otherwise, it's a merry-go-round. And a new product will be proposed with great gusto, with enormous enthusiasm, and then we'll find out 5, 10, 20 years later that it's caused damage to children. It's just not logical. The world is getting more populated. The planet is getting smaller. We all live closer together. We simply cannot continue to foul our own nest. We need to have a regulatory regime in place that insists that chemicals be properly tested before they're proposed as substitutes for existing toxic materials.
But are there safe or safer flame retardants on the market?
I would not feel qualified to answer that one.
Okay. There was some discussion earlier that sort of seemed to touch on the question of whether the brominated flame retardants are in fact effective as flame retardants. Can you comment on that question?
I've read the same articles that you've read, but fire chemistry is not my expertise.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Cavanaugh? Thank you for your testimony. It's very informative, and I was going to ask some of the questions that two of my colleagues have asked, and I was afraid for a moment that we were going to start having diagrams of molecules, with atoms floating. Always frightened me back in AP chemistry. Just what I just want to. Do you again? If you come to testify about a very significant, important aspect of this, but do you have any experience or? I mean, what's being pitted here, typically in these conversations, and I think we're going to hear testimony about this from other people, is the potential that these chemicals are causing harm to health versus the potential that fires are going to be more frequent or are going to be more severe, and that's obviously a public health concern too, if it's true. I think we may get some testimony that may cast some skepticism on the notion that these flame retardants are actually reducing fires. But do you have any? Are you aware of any studies or analysis that suggest the efficacy of these of including flame retardants in products in homes from a perspective of the danger of fire of home fires as a public health issue?
No, I've really focused on the chemical toxicity side of it and not on the fire safety side of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Baron?
Yes, thank you for your testimony. You talked about the study that was done with the umbilical cord blood. What was the number of people that were in that study? How many mothers and the children that were born in that study? And is that the only study that you?
There have been others, but that's the best. And my recollection is there were about 200 mothers and babies in that study. It was not a small study.
Okay, and there has been done in other institutions as well, similar type of study to talk about the effects.
Yes, but the one that comes out of Columbia is clearly the highest quality, and I like to rely on high quality studies.
And when was that done? What year was it?
Just very recently, within the past couple or 3 years.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, Assemblywoman, the citation is at the back of my testimony. It's reference number 4. And it was published in 2010, so 2 years ago.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr.
Oh,
Chairman.
I'm sorry, Mr. Gotcha.
Just closing note, it may be that everybody in the room already knows this, but I just couldn't let this moment pass without acknowledging, Phil, that there are just so many current and former and future children in this country and the world who owe so much to your work. I just thank you for everything you've done and do.
Thank you. That's very kind. It's always a team effort, so thank you.
I certainly concur. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.